And 5 years ago, 5 years ago? Yeah, about 5 years ago, it was that summer where it was 215 degrees every day. It wasn't 215. It was like 100 and something every damn day for like 100 days in a row. And I was in San Antonio and by now I knew how bees sound and the vibrato of their wings and all the different responses and reactions and the time that it would take, the difference between nice bees to come out of their beehive and attack you, which those bees are called guard bees, and the mean bees, how quickly. See, super mean bees will come out of their hive in about 45 seconds. Super gentle bees, it takes them about a minute and a half to actually come out and find out what's going on. And I'd learned the sound of that hive prior to those bees coming out, and because being at so many beehives, I had to give up Alice's restaurant because there was just so much work to do, and I'd given my stupid word. So I had to make my word good. And so I did, and so like back to 5 years ago, I showed up at the third bee removal of the day. It's 115 degrees outside. I've soaked through 2 bee suits. I tell my helper guy, I go, hey man, I'm gonna try this one without a suit. And he goes, dude, that's fucking crazy. And I'm like, yeah. I think I know how they sound enough, and if they're gonna attack me, that I can get out of there if they're gonna attack me. And he goes, well, we have a suit that you can get into anyway, in the case shit gets all messed up. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's try it. And as soon as I smoked the bees and opened the first part of it, I was right. They were maintaining themselves, they were okay. They weren't putting off an offensive sound. But then Ken's TV showed up. And they're like, oh my God, you're gonna do this without a suit? That's wonderful. This is so fucking perfect. And so I couldn't say, no, this is like scary, really, really horribly scary. And I shouldn't do this in front of a TV. And they were like, no, this is gonna be beautiful, it's gonna be perfect. So that was the last time I wore a bee suit. So, you know, I mean, sometimes bees are like super horrible and evil and they're mad and there's nothing you can do to change what they're doing. And so just to finish the work, you have to put a bee suit on. But that's very rare. I think I've put a bee suit on maybe 10 times in 5 years. So, and usually when everybody else is bee suited up and going, this is crazy, I can be right there in the middle of the beehive. And bees work on electrical impulse and smell. And if you're not exuding that pheromone of fear, you know, because when you sweat, there's different chemicals that come out of your body, and bees can smell that. They can smell that you're afraid, but they don't see it as fear. They see it as aggression, because their teeny little tiny brains don't distinguish between aggression and fear. They can only see it as aggression because in their little bodies, they're not afraid of you. You might be 100 times their size, but they're not afraid of you because fear is not part of their makeup. And so the only thing that's part of their makeup is to attack or defend. And so they'll let you know when they're about to attack you. And if you don't smell a fear and your heart's not racing and you're not freaking out, oh my God, I'm gonna be stung by bees, because you know, you get stung by a bee, you pull the stinger out and you go away, and it's pretty much over. So you know, you have that intellectual part of you that says it's time to split, and so that's a pretty simple thing to do. I don't fear much anymore. There's no reason to fear anything, I think. Yeah, there's almost nothing that's scary anymore. I mean, there's, you know, I have children, so making sure that they're fed and clothed and going to school, that's the final scary chapter, you know what I'm saying? And soon they'll be old enough to where that won't be a fear anymore anyway, because they'll brush their own teeth and bathe themselves and go to school. But the rest of it, it's pretty predictable, you know. You see, but the other side of that is that I might not be afraid of things, but I'm not as prone to, so humbling might be the word. So these little bitty creatures have the ability to strike you down. Dig it? They can. There's not one single beehive I haven't gone to that the end result could be my death. And so I'm not afraid of that. I accept that that's a possibility, and so I have to listen to what they're saying in order to not become a statistic in death, I guess.